The sun is inevitably setting for some fan-favorite attractions at Universal Studios Japan. On January 22nd of 2024, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man permanently closed at the park, marking the end of a 20-year run and all-Marvel intellectual property at USJ. The theme park is currently 23 years old, making it a relatively new park, but is old enough now where many of the classic rides and themed lands are hitting the bucket, of course, to make way for the new. Universal is an incredible theme park company, but their success has always come at the cost of short lifespans on rides. This is only the evolving nature of a Universal park and roots back to their genius founding ideology. The park started off with clones of classics from the American Universal parks, but has gradually begun tracing its own identity into a Universal park quite unlike anything else. This video will cover the history of Universal Studios Japan, the end of a beloved era, and the bittersweet future that awaits. To understand the state of the theme park right now, the past is crucial. So let's jump into the world of USJ on March 31st, 2001. Following the erupting success of Universal's third theme park, Islands of Adventure at the Florida Resort, Universal Destinations and Experiences finally goes international, with the grand opening of Universal Studios Japan. The first of 7 themed lands that greeted guests on opening day was 1930s Hollywood Boulevard, which still looks pretty similar today. On opening day though, it contained now-defunct attractions E.T. Adventure and Motion Picture Magic, which was a show that went in-depth into the filmmaking of Steven Spielberg. Spielberg was kind of the backbone of the theme park in its first years, as most of the attractions were based off of his blockbuster movies. Following this land, if you went straight, you would enter a New York City frozen in time in the 1930s as well, which on opening day offered one main attraction, Terminator 3D. Spider-Man would open 3 years later. As you moved along the park, the New York land would fuse into San Francisco, which held attractions Back to the Future the Ride and Backdraft, a special effects show that would purposefully ignite a room in flames. As you passed San Francisco, you would enter the jungle of Jurassic Park, which held the most thrilling ride offered on opening day, Jurassic Park the Ride. While still an icon now, this ride was the flagship of the park in its prime. Leaving Jurassic Park, you were met with an intersection where you could either turn to the Waterworld stunt show or go from one Spielberg land to another, Amity Village with Jaws the Ride. On the other side of Amity stood the kids area of the park, Snoopy Studios, which actually offered the only roller coaster in the park at the time. Quickly passing through the kids area, you would ease your way into the bullet-dodging Wild West, which offered an outdoor stunt show and the Animal Actors show. And that would have been a full circuit at the brand new park. The only original attractions offered on opening day were Snoopy Studios and Motion Picture Magic. Every other attraction was a clone. While not necessarily a bad thing, if you had been to the Florida Resort, you quite literally would have been met with a combination of the two parks in one. This differentiates them from Universal Studios Singapore, which opened in 2010, that offered original lands like Sci-Fi Land and Madagascar, but this was the identity of the park in 2001. This was how it all started for USJ. And it worked. In its first year of operation, the park hit over 11 million total visitors, making it the most successful opening year in theme park history. These numbers though declined from 11 million to under 8 million in the following years, and it seemed that the opening hype had settled. And so they expanded. Fast forward to present day, and we see all the ways this park has changed. The inevitable revolution that happens at every Universal park is now almost complete. And you may be like, don't all parks replace their rides? And well, sure, but Universal does it on steroids. You go to Disney, and some of the rides there are as old as your grandma. No, like seriously, they value history and nostalgia, so at the original Disneyland, many of the attractions from their opening day in 1955 still remain. Some major ones being Jungle Cruise, Snow White's Enchanted Wish, Peter Pan's Flight, the Carousel, Autopia, and more. Universal's ideology is the polar opposite of this, and it is quite rare to find a ride older than 30 years at their parks. Anyways, back to USJ. For a quick breakdown of their major changes in the same order, Hollywood Land parted ways with E.T. and Motion Picture Magic for Space Fantasy and Shrek 4D. New York saw Spider-Man come and go and the closure of Terminator 3D. San Francisco transformed into the land of bananas, Minion Park, which meant the demise of Back to the Future and Backdraft. Jurassic Park and Amity remain standing strong with their original flagships. The River Adventure is one of 2 remaining now in original form, and the Jaws ride is the last one standing. The park has a coaster collection now, with Hollywood Dream in 2007 and the Flying Dinosaur in 2016. The Wild West became the exciting new Land of Oz, which no one liked, so it then combined with Snoopy Studios to form the Kids Land Wonderland, which leaves the 2 biggest expansions I have not yet mentioned: the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in 2014 and Super Nintendo World in 2021. The transcending lands that elevated Universal from good to incredible. As for a kill count on the original attractions, out of 10 offered attractions on opening day, 3 now remain: Jurassic Park, Jaws, and Waterworld. These attractions and their respectful lands are the last grip of classic Universal Studios at the park, and are in serious jeopardy, especially because USJ is a one-park resort, and they are now landlocked. The Harry Potter and Nintendo World expansions pretty much took up the only area with potential for development in the entire resort, which was the central parking lot that had to be squished to the side and transformed into a multi-story unit, basically making the theme park landlocked. And because the park is located in a city, they can't just build a second theme park like they do in their other locations, so this only further jeopardizes the final remaining 3. As now, all expansions at the park will have to replace existing attractions. And to say the least, it is not a matter of if these attractions get replaced, but when. I would say it is highly likely that all 3 attractions will be gone in the next 10 years. And it all comes back to the Universal theme park ideology. To put in perspective, the only remaining ride at Universal Studios Florida from their opening day 11 years prior to Japan in 1990 is E.T. Adventure. 1 ride. Universal's ideology is genius, but holds no mercy. Their ideology is a combination of constantly changing their experiences to what is most popular on the silver screen and what evokes the most nostalgia for guests. Accent on the constantly changing, and the nostalgia part has really only come in the picture recently after becoming a more established theme park franchise. The core of their ideology is chasing whatever is most popular, and it all roots back to their efforts in maintaining relevance and standing out against the dominant Disney. The company was founded in 1912 as a movie studio, which was before Disney even existed. But the first theme park came in 1964, when the Hollywood production facility, which opened in 1915, decided to establish an immersive studio tour in the facility, which eventually led to attractions based off of their movies. This created an original niche in the theme park industry, a park fluid as both a theme park and a real movie studio. This made them stand out from Disneyland, the dominant name in the industry, only 35 miles from their location. The real race for relevance, though, happened in 1990 with the debut of Universal Studios Florida, an ambitious new expansion park looking to ride onto the tourism boom of Orlando, the only problem being a very established Disney World was a 15-minute drive away. In this situation, standing out was life or death. So they did what Disney couldn't. Instead of offering fairy tales and storybooks that sparked nostalgia like Disney, they offered rides the most relevant blockbuster films, evoking a youthful spark. This sparked popularity in Universal parks and gave them the stepping stones to a more established name. They continued this philosophy and persistently updated their parks with rides of whatever the biggest franchises were at the time. Men in Black hits the big screen, it becomes a ride 3 years later. The Mummy gains international praise, and the second movie isn't a complete flop, it becomes an immersive indoor roller coaster. Marvel IPs are formed at the brink of Marvel popularity. The Transformers become a franchise, Universal picks that up immediately. And the pattern went on, which really gave the company no choice but to replace. That was the major con of this business strategy. Now that Universal is a top name in the industry, they use a combination of popularity and nostalgia. This is especially true with Super Nintendo World and Universal Monsters Land at Universal Orlando's 2025 theme park Epic Universe. But what remains is the experiences at Universal stay new and stay fresh, always. But on the other end, many missed attractions. And for Universal Studios Japan, the end of the era of original attractions crawling up their spines. These rides are starting to show their age as well. Jurassic Park the Ride is currently going through a major refurbishment and has been closed since September of 2023 and will remain closed until early 2025. All Jurassic Park rides have aged into many issues. Hollywood transformed theirs into Jurassic World, Orlando as of now has chosen to deal with it, and USJ is on the same boat and is holding on to its last legs. Which leads to the question, what will replace these original rides? As far as what the future of this park holds, outside of Donkey Kong Country, which is set to open December 11th of 2024, which will be an expansion of Super Nintendo World utilizing every last scrap of that former parking lot area, there is no word on what rides and lands are in store for the future. So my speculation is just as good as yours. But I will say this. The general trend of this park in the last couple of years has leaned towards Nintendo and anime. Nintendo is the dominant IP at the park present day, occupying most of the merch section, and I would say a close second is anime. The park has found great success in their anime specials, like the seasonal campaigns they've run at the 4D Theater with Detective Conan 4D, Sailor Moon, and Hunter x Hunter. And of course, the Demon Slayer VR retheme of Roller Coaster Space Fantasy. Understanding the popularity of anime and Nintendo, it's fair to say that new attractions themed to the two hold the highest possibility. Specifically, Pokemon. The park has the necessary licensing with Pokemon to be able to create a Pokemon land or ride, and have already actually modestly featured Pokemon in the park through some merch in the stores and parade appearances. Universal's slogan was once Ride the Movies. It seems to be getting closer and closer to experienced video games. History will always write itself, but it seems to write itself a whole lot faster at Universal parks. The theme park today is more popular than it has ever been, with its 2023 annual attendance hitting an all-time high of 16 million visitors. Universal has themselves an incredibly valuable theme park under their hands, and knowing the ownership and Universal creative, the park will continue to be resculpted and reimagined in a bittersweet fashion. Thank God it's not under Six Flags' ownership. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below what you believe the future of this park holds, and who knows, maybe we'll have a heated argument in the comment section. You can leave now. Or you can watch this incredibly juicy video about, hey, what do you know, Universal Studios. Right there.